Welcome. Now let's get the formalities out of the way. You've decided to join the Curio Underwater Drone Research Team. I'm Nat, and I'm going to be your mentor. I'm going to be training you up on how to use this rig to gather super valuable oceanic research. Now the network is divided up by relays. Each allows you to roam across a limited area. I've used my research rank to get you access to one of the deepest relays, column 239. It's currently the site of an archaeological dig. So, let's get you started. To move underwater, you'll need to hold down the triggers. One for standard speed, and two if you want to engage both fins and get going a little faster. Moving underwater takes... There are two ways to analyze creatures, scanning and luring. To scan, simply press down on the scanner button and point it at the active node on the creature. You can use the paddles to turn. Using both swimming and turning, head on up to the top of that rise. To lure creatures, you'll need to generate mimics with your lure tool. You can do this by circling your thumb around the lure button and releasing it on the mimic you want. Go ahead and bring up an urchin mimic. Now that you've got your urchin mimic, look above and around you for that shoal of amberjack. Offer the urchin toward them to encourage them in for a lure. Bingo. That's luring. Mimics are going to be your arsenal of holographic creatures to lure in predators. Speaking of which, the proximity transducer is detecting something coming your way. It's big, and it's definitely a fish. It can't be that. It's got to be a shark. I don't know if you can hear me. It looks like Curio's entire marine network has just gone down. I'm not sure what just happened, but your security level is too low for the area. Without my clearance, you're going to get kicked. Wherever you end up, just make sure to stay in. Are you there? Oh man, that's a relief. I've managed to secure the connection. Now you've been bumped to a dock with a lower security clearance, but it does look like you're still the only one left in the network. So, if we want to catch up with whatever that fish was, then you're going to have to complete investigations, improve your rank, and get back to the relay at column 239. Your investigation in this area is around the lack of sea urchins. They compete for food with abalone, which is a kind of sea snail. So my first suggestion would be to go scan a group of abalone. 5 should do the trick. I've added a zone to your radar where you'll find a large group of them. I'll do that with each new clue we receive. To progress through each dive site, you'll need to complete an investigation. Rest your thumb on the scanner to find areas of interest and have them added to your radar. Excellent. Now follow your radar to these areas and make discoveries by luring, scanning, and searching. So while you've been busy, I've been analysing the feed from our little big fish incident back at column 239. Totally a great white coming out of nowhere, like some kind of phantom of the deep. Dumb as that sounds. Well, still, phantom. It's got a kind of a ring to it. And I've called sharks worse, believe me. You're not too... So, it's kind of good news. Thanks to a recent conservation effort, there has been a big improvement to the ecology in this area. But this means whatever is upsetting the balance is recent and having a rapid effect. There are a lot of abalone down here. That's unusual. With that many mouths to feed, the urchin have pretty steep competition. Why are there so many? And now for the not-so-easy task, scanning the urchin. Again, we'll want 5 to get us the data we need. You'll need to root around the rocks and caves to find these little guys. Abalone, abalones, abalones. Do you know what? I've never figured it out. Do you know what the plural of abalone? These were banned in 2020. About 60 years too late, if you ask me. Even in good conditions, what with this area being both warm and close to the sun, it'll still take years for this to dissolve. But toxic chemicals get released in the process, so it's not good news. And if any plastic bags end up in the darker, colder parts of the sea, well, they'll be causing trouble way beyond our lifetimes. job you don't have a body, those spines have a habit of snapping off at anything unfortunate enough to get too close. So a lot of creatures keep their distance as a result. The scan shows that they're undernourished, just as I suspected. Too many abalone. Well, makes sense to check the abalone's predators, right? That's the local crabs, leopard sharks, and black sea bass. Maybe start with 3 scans of different crabs. This crab's in the process of molting its shell, and it's nearly there. It's hard to see, but right now it's taking in seawater. Soon, really soon, its old shell will split and shed and float to the floor. Must be nice to be able to reinvent yourself like that. But, cool as it is, it doesn't shed any light on our urchin mystery. Sharks are vitally important to the ecosystem. Being near the top of the food chain, they serve to control many other populations. It'll definitely be worth getting a scan of one. You'll have to use an abalone or a crab mimic to even have a chance of getting close. The activity of the leopard sharks in the area seems to be what we'd expect. If anything, they're enjoying the abundance of abalone. But there's simply not enough of them to limit the sea snail numbers. That leaves us with just the black sea bass. They love to prey on abalone. They're most likely involved, so let's go for an internal reading. Can you get us a lure? Offer them an abalone mimic. That should do the trick. They're protogynous hermaphrodites, so while they're all born female, they generally transition to males after between 1 and 5 years, all being well. Now this is interesting. The lure shows that these sea bass are all female, due to some kind of hormone imbalance. The lack of males explains the low population. There must be something in the area that's affecting them. Right, search the area. To affect the sea bass like this, it's possible that something's contaminating the water. We need to find out what. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. That's pesticide. So the food chain here is most likely contaminated. If you feel like doing everyone a favor, there's a recompiler in your scanner. Any trash you hit with it will be rerouted into fuel at the local dock. And no, don't worry, it doesn't do that to fish. You've completed the investigation for this dive site. The next area is now unlocked. Return to the dock when you're ready. So, pesticide was leaking from those barrels. That affects plankton in the area. Plankton get eaten by abalone. Check you. Already reaching apprentice rank. Now that's got us to Folly Wall, the top of the continental shelf. There are massive readings in this area. Something big. Let's carry out another investigation and find out both what it is and how it got here. Perhaps it's our phantom. I'm noticing there aren't as many small schooling fish in the area. The two I've seen are the sea bass and the sardines. Perhaps start with scanning 3 shoals of the sea bass. Remember, use your abalone mimic for getting their attention. The continental shelf runs right around the perimeter of every single continent, hence the name. They effectively outline the massive plates on which our human civilization sits. people up shipping containers. It's estimated that over 1,000 of these get knocked off cargo ships every year. Thankfully, these haven't split on impact. Probably full of ducks. Scans suggest that their community size is rather small. Something's keeping their numbers low. We can only wonder if it's related to the large readings we picked up when we entered this zone. The only other small schooling fish that'd be worth getting an estimate on would be the sardines. I'm always amazed at how relaxed these guys are. They'll stay pretty chilled, short of you swimming directly through them. Nothing like as many as you might see, especially considering that schools of sardines can reach up to 7 kilometers in length. I wonder if their new neighbor has taken a shine to them. We need to learn about what's going in at the bottom of the food chain. Quickest way is to lure in a creature that feeds off the seabed. Try seeking out a crab and feeding it an abalone mimic. Abalones. It's not even abalone anyway. In New Zealand, it's power. That internal reading from the lure tells a lot about the nutrients in the area. It appears our crab has been dining on remains carried here by upwelling currents. This kind of change in the system might have encouraged different creatures to join us at this depth. Now let's go to the other end of the food chain. What starts off as calcium-rich ooze at one end will work its way up to the bigger predators, so luring a tuna fish would be helpful. Check the mimic selector to find out what they prey on. extending your arm away from yourself and moving it side to side to direct swimming mimics. There's a large amount of mercury present in that, gal. Mercury, of which around 30% comes from man-made sources, can't be excreted. So it simply travels up the food chain and accumulates in top predators such as this tuna. Well, that's before we eat them. Then it accumulates in me and you, hence mercury poisoning. Let's pick up data from the local relay. See if that sheds any light on who could be lurking here. That's interesting. There's a wide range alert along the rise. Looks like a scanned whale shark has gone missing thousands of miles south of here. Okay, time to go hunting. Get yourself up and away from the shelf, right out into open water. See what you can see. Will you look at all of that? It's so upsetting. The upwelling has brought in all this trash.